He said, yeah. The son said that he's straight trans.
He's saying he's not gay, like he's a woman, so he's not gay.
Right, absolutely, yeah. Which doesn't make any sense. Yeah, but it's still confusion. Go ahead.
They take it to the next level.
So just to clarify, so he's a man identifying as a woman, but still a child. Good night. So he's a male child, right? Identifying as a female child,
right?
With a sexual preference towards females.
Men. Yes.
What is that? Right.
Yeah.
So now because his because his gender identity is geared towards being a female and he's attracted to males, that makes him straight.
What I'm saying
is that what that?
So like, not to cut you off, but
it's something like that. But in a nutshell, it's all confusion.
Yeah. Right.
It's all confusion at the end of the day.
He in the plus shit. That plus.
It's a lot, yeah.
Like, we need to make a minus column. That's getting out of hand. That's getting out of hand.
So not to be too heavy on this topic, but it's just, I remember seeing this video on TikTok of the sister, and she was just like, just talking about just certain things that's wrong in the black community, and she was absolutely on point, and that was one of the main things that people were in the comments about. You see what I'm saying? But anyway, moving on. I'm sure everybody gets the point. The law is what's going to hold you accountable. All right. So let's move to 2 Maccabees chapter 6, verse 12. Now we are going to go into the story of the brother Eleazar, this older brother in age, to where he showed himself up until death to be a soldier for the Most High, to be someone who Yahweh will be proud of. You see what I'm saying? Who held up his responsibility as
discouraged for these calamities.
Read that one more time, good Salakia.
Come. Now I beseech those that read this book that they be not discouraged for these calamities.
Keep going.
But that they judge those punishments not to be for the destruction, but for the chastening of our nation.
Right, the chastening or the chastening of our nation. So what is this talking about? What does the word beseech mean? Go ahead.
I pray you understand.
Like, I pray you understand where, when Paul said, beloved, I beseech thee in the book of Corinthians. See what I'm saying? Meaning like, I beg you or I tell you. See what I'm saying? Or I pray you understand. Same thing. See what I'm saying? I hope you get this message. You see what I'm saying? That, those that read this book, that they be not discouraged for these calamities. Meaning, when you read early into the chapter of 2 Maccabees, the 6th chapter, you would, Oh, okay. You see what I'm saying? What you would find out is that, the Jews were being killed. You see what I'm saying? The Jews were being killed. They were being, persecuted because of the Lord. Go ahead.
So I got a definition on calamities.
What?
Calamity?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. One of my favorite words, by the way. Go ahead.
An event causing great and often sudden damage, distress, or disaster.
Right. See what I'm saying? Absolutely. Sounds like, collateral damage to the nation of Israel. That word calamity you will see all through the Bible. Ezra's, Proverbs, I want to say Ecclesiastes in the Old Testament.
Right.
See what I'm saying? You even have a scripture where the Most High says that because of our disobedience, He would laugh at our calamities. You see what I'm saying? Like, goddamn. Because once again, we have forsaken the Most High. But what's being said right here is that don't let this scare you. Don't be discouraged. Still be confident. Still be, strong at the fact that, there's a reward on the other side if you die for the Most High.
Right.
Don't be afraid what the enemies do to you. Actually, too, what is that? Matthew 5 and 28, when it says, no, that's not it. Hold on. Matthew 5 and 28, where it says, don't fear who kills the body, but fear the one that kills the body and the soul in hell.
Right.
So I want to say that's 5 and 28. And also, too, I believe the first part of that portion of the scripture is
Don't
pretty much you can't serve two masters. There you go.
Right.
That's it. You had a question? Go ahead.
No, I was gonna read it for you. Yeah.
Okay, you already had it.
You got it.
Okay, you sweat with it. I see you. All right. Okay, no sweat. You see what I'm saying? So let's keep going. Verse 13.
For it is a token of his great goodness. When wicked doers are not suffered any long time, but for
brief elaboration. What is that talking about? Go ahead.
Can you read it one more time?
Yeah, go ahead.
For it is a token of his great goodness when wicked doers are not suffered any long time, but forthwith punished.
What's that speaking about? Go ahead. Anybody? Shalakia. Go ahead, warrior.
So like it's like so he bringing that judgment to those evildoers, to those wicked men. Like he checking them right away, based off the circumstances.
Absolutely. Yep. That's what it's talking about. It's the same thing when we went into as far as Mattathias. You see what I'm saying? Where he killed that Jew. One out of those Jews for breaking the law. All right. So moving on, go to verse 18. Eleazar. Let's move forward because we got 30 minutes left. Let me see. Okay, no sweat. Most High in Christ. Hey, Officer Akanakabar.
Come on, sir.
There's someone in the chat that needs to be responded to.
I'll check it out right now.
No sweat on YouTube. Go ahead.
On YouTube?
Yeah, YouTube. You go ahead, Warrior.
Second Maccabees, chapter 6, verse 18.
You got it.
Eleazar, one of the principal scribes, an aged man, and of a well-favored countenance.
That's right.
Was constrained to open his mouth and to eat swine's flesh.
Right. So, of course, in this day and time, what happened was Eleazar, he is an old man. It's going to speak about his age, which I'm going to have to break down for y'all so y'all can understand the context if anybody doesn't understand it once we get there. But Eleazar was an old man. He was a principal scribe, meaning he was around for a long time. So he's a studied up wise man. See what I'm saying? Of course, wisdom has no age. Always remember that.
Right.
The book of Ecclesiasticus will always teach you that. Christ is a main example of that as well. So, you want to say something?
No, I was going to say.
Oh, yeah. You had Christ, you had, the one brother. The brother, he was like 8 years old as a king. That was crazy to hear about that story. I got to talk to Tarab because Tarab knows what I'm talking about. It's in the Old Testament, if I'm not mistaken. Go ahead.
Was it King David pretty young when he took over?
Yeah. He was like in his teenage years.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Jeremiah. So like Jeremiah is one of them, but it's one that was 8 years old, if I'm not mistaken, who was I believe a Judite. He was over the nation of Israel for some years. You see what I'm saying? I forget his name. I don't want to mistake anybody. But the whole point of this is this old man didn't give no F's. You see what I'm saying? He didn't give no damn about, see what I'm saying, what was going to happen to him. See what I'm saying? And he went out as an OG. All right?
Right.
See what I'm saying? This man went out as an OG. All right? And let's get to it. Okay? So he opened up his mouth and he, pretty much said, look, I ain't finna eat this swine's flesh. Right. All right? Keep going.
Verse 19. But he choosing rather to die gloriously than to live stained with such an abomination.
Absolutely, yeah.
Spit it forth and came out of his own accord to the torment.
Right, keep going. So that's self-explanatory, keep going.
Verse 20. As it behooved them to come that are resolute to stand out against such things as are not lawful for love of life to be tasted.
What does that mean? And can you fix this camera for me? What does that mean for anybody that just heard that?
What you need me to do with it?
I want you to put it down a little bit. You go ahead anytime if you got the answer, Makbar or Sis. That's the one right there.
It was good?
Select it a little bit more.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
So is this a similar scenario as them seven brothers where they saw the example of the one and they followed suit.
That's fine. The water. Yeah, like they knew the law. Like the law was what King Solomon said in your inward parts. Otherwise, you want to have the law, statutes, commandments tattooed in your heart. You see what I'm saying? Or on your heart, so to speak. And they knew that this is something that should not be digested or in your.
I've never personally. I don't think I've ever actually read this specific verse. But
this is a very good chapter.
And so at the end of verse 20, or actually, if I can just recap, as it behooved them to come that are resolute to stand out against such things, those such things being that are not lawful for love of life, that love of life being following the law, statutes, commandments, to be tasted.
Right, to be tasted, not tested, but tasted. See what I'm saying?
And showing in verse 19 how the brother spit it out, and in verse 18 how he was constrained to open his mouth to eat the swine's flesh. In verse 19,
instead of digesting it. Right, instead of digesting it, because they was beating him.
And they was trying to shove it down his throat.
Absolutely, they was trying to force it. Go ahead.
But a good way to be able to stay in a mindset like that is like, if you do eat the pork, you might not die right there like you're gonna die right now if you don't eat it, but you is committing death. You see what I'm saying?
So I get that.
I'd rather die right here, or this is the mindset we gotta have. You know what I'm saying? Shit is always easier said than done, but the mindset you wanna have is, I'd rather die right here, you know what I'm saying, and stand with the Lord versus go against the Lord and die later.
Absolutely.
There's no glory in that.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Shit, what did King David say? King David has said, I'd rather be in the hands of my God than my enemies. And the reason why he said that is because he doesn't know what punishment, what his enemies might do, but he knows that he might have some compassion, some favor, some mercy from the Lord. So he'd rather do right by him, you know what I'm saying, meaning be in his hands versus his enemies' hands. Because your enemies, will go above and beyond. And we talked about how they're not satisfied with just your blood. They want to capture your soul. They want you to be non-existent. Right. You see what I'm saying? Which is very deep. And we talked about how they lie in wait for you. See what I'm saying? To destroy you, to kill you. They try to find any opportunity, man. That's how all their murders are being justified. You know what I mean? They said the reason why, the verdict of Breonna Taylor came back, you know what I'm saying, not guilty because, dude, bullets went somewhere else, but it really should have went into her. It's like the whole world, even the people in the world should see that like, damn, something got to change with us. Because us trying to change them is not working no more. Right. Or it never has worked.
Right.
From the jump. Right. It has not worked. All right? You want to say something? Go ahead.
I forgot what y'all.
Okay, no sweat. All right, no sweat. Let's keep going. Verse 21.
Come. But they that had the charge of that wicked feast, for the old acquaintance they had with the man, taking him aside, besought him to bring flesh of his own provision, such as was lawful for him to use, and make as if he did eat of the flesh, taken from the sacrifice commanded by the king.
Right, of course, he just held it right there. See what I'm saying? And he really didn't. He didn't eat that. He didn't eat or digest, because this man didn't sin whatsoever. Although this man died, he did not sin, but he went out like a soldier. Go ahead.
And in this one, in verse 21, the soldiers that were guarding him, because of his reputation with them and them knowing each other,
right?
They were trying to take him aside, and be like, listen, bring something that's lawful for you to eat, and pretend like you doing it under the ordinance of the king, as if you were eating something unlawful.
Right, and what that would have done, them, him being known. You see what I'm saying? Everybody else would have followed suit, eating an unclean thing, versus him eating a clean thing, trying to use him as a puppet. You see what I'm saying? Use him as a puppet to cause them to sin. All right, go ahead.
It's almost kind of like that witch did that. Who was that walking through Sodom and Gomorrah? The witch was like, "Oh, this is a prophet." Then the prophet turned around and was like, told the witch like shut up, because he was trying to like piggyback off what the prophet was doing. Even though the witch was right, it's like don't come over here and try to, jump on what I got going on. That reminds me of that.
I mean, are you talking about Lot? Because when we say Sodom and Gomorrah, okay, yeah, I was gonna say when you said Sodom and Gomorrah, I can only think about Lot. Genesis 19. Okay, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, keep going. But yeah, that was right, Michael Bar. That was absolutely on point. Keep going.
Verse 22. That in so doing he might be delivered from death, and for the old friendship with them find favor.
But at the same time, with him doing that, it would have, the blood on it, would have been on his hands.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because it would have been a way of deceiving the people. Like, look, you see what I'm saying? Look, hey, I got this lawful thing in my mouth, but they don't know.
Right.
But y'all should eat this swine anyway. You see what I'm
Okay.
saying? But of course, once again, he was with the Lord, and the Lord was with him.
Right.
All right. But he was against these wicked people. Keep going.
It's like, and if I may, just kind of going back to yesterday, that would have been in his self-interest. If he wanted to survive.
If he wanted to. Right, absolutely.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Verse 23. But he began to consider discreetly, and as became his age, and the excellency of his ancient years, and the honor of his gray head, whereunto he was come, and his most honest education from a child, or rather by the holy law made and given by God. Therefore he answered accordingly, and willed them straightways to send him to the grave.
Now, of course, I'm going to have to skip a little bit of this. I want to get to the part, let me see, Salaki. There's a part about where he jumps off the building to flee from them, because he got out, he got away from them. And he jumped off the building. And I'm going to have to summarize for time's sake, Salaki, because there's other stories that we had to get before it's 9 o'clock. Okay, read verse 31 real quick.
We're in the...
we are chapter, Salaki, 2 Maccabees chapter 6, verse 31 for right now. But the entire chapter is good. It's good. Go ahead.
2 Maccabees chapter 6 verse 31. And thus this man died, leaving his death for an example of a noble courage,
right,
and a memorial of virtue, not only unto young men, but unto all his nation.
Right, absolutely. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead.
It's because he didn't compromise.
Because he did not compromise. He took it as far as I thought I have it here somewhere, but for time's sake, I'll just summarize the rest of it. So, of course, he did not eat the swine. They beat him. They did a lot of things to him, and he still did not compromise. And of course, he was about 80 years and 10, which means 80 means what does 80 means? That means 80 years. 1 means 20 years. All right. Am I saying that right? Yeah. 1 means 20 years. And then, of course, when you add the 80 years to 10, that's 90, when you do the math, all right?
Right.
So he's 90 years old. This 90-year-old man who could have went off in his old age, but he held that integrity. He stayed strong, all right? He was disciplined. So when he ended up getting away from them, and, because it's a part where they try to, what is called in slavery, break the buck. They try to emasculate him in front of the people. He ended up getting away from them, and he had jumped off the building. When he jumped out the building, the way he landed, his bowels was messed up, meaning his abdominal area to me where his stomach split open. And since he was already bleeding out, and his guts and stuff was coming out, he grabbed him out himself with both of his hands and prayed to the Lord and said, restore me, Lord. You know what I'm saying? Restore me. But he ended up bleeding out too much, and he died right there. But he died like a soldier. See what I'm saying? Imagine that. Goddamn. All right, so moving on. Anybody got questions on that or live? Yeah, I would definitely go through the Maccabees, man.
Right.
Even after this day.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? You can use this, be very versatile with this on any topic. Really, go ahead.
The fact that he didn't even bring the the meat that was lawful and eat it and deceive them and make them sin.
That says a lie.
Yeah, it just reminded me of that scripture in 1 Corinthians, basically saying like, if food make my brother stumble, then I won't eat meat.
Hey, give her a hand. I forgot all about that. Give her a hand. Absolutely. That's right. That's right. You said Corinthians, right?
Yeah.
Definitely.
1 Corinthians 8 and 13.
8 and 13. That's definitely Paul. See what I'm saying? 1 Corinthians 8 and 13. All right. See what I'm saying? Absolutely. Now, of course, let's see. Get 2 Maccabees chapter 8, verse 21.
Go ahead.
Okay. Rank order, right?
No, man, go do your thing, man.
All right, come. The 2 Maccabees chapter 8, verse 21. Thus when he had made them bold with these words, and ready to die for the laws and the country, he divided his army into 4 parts.
Keep going.
And joined with himself his own brethren, leaders of each band, to wit, Simon and Joseph and Jonathan, giving each one 1,500 men.
So of course, just a little summary. This is when Judas Maccabees was going into war against our enemies. This is another story that the reason why we celebrate the Feast of Dedication,
Right.
Hanukkah. All right, just keep going.
Verse 23. Also, he appointed Eleazar to read the holy book, and when he had given them this watchword, the help of God, himself leading the first band, he joined battle with Nicanor.
I think you might have
23, right?
24.
Now I'm going into 24.
Okay, no, so go ahead. Yeah.
Come. And by the help of the Almighty, they slew above 9,000 of their enemies, and wounded and maimed most part of Nicanor's host, and so put all to flight.
So pretty much, Judas Maccabees had a lot of men with him, and the Lord was with him, of course. And they pretty much wiped out, half or most part of Nicanor's host, meaning a lot of his men. All right, they was wounded in battle. Okay. Also, too, another thing with war back in Israel, war would usually start around noon, and then when the sun went down, war would have to stop. All right. Now, of course, Esau plays dirty. He would try to attack you at night. You see what I'm saying? Because he is, that's what he's blessed with. He's blessed with a sword. Also, too, he doesn't play fair. All right. Let me see what else I should. Go to verse 25.
Okay. And took their money that came to buy them, and pursued them fair. But lacking time, they returned.
Because once again, the time was running out, and because the time was running out, they had to go back because they had to get ready for the Sabbath. Ironic, right? They had to get ready for the Sabbath. So battle was over with, but not until later. Keep going.
Verse 26. But it was the day before the Sabbath, and therefore they would no longer pursue them. So when they had gathered their armor together and spoiled the enemies, they occupied themselves about the Sabbath, yielding exceeding praise and thanks to the Most High, who had preserved them unto the day, which was the beginning of mercy distilling upon them.
Now let me see 1 second after 7 when they had. Read the last verse, verse 28.
And after the Sabbath, when they had given part of the spoils to the maimed and the widows and the orphans, the residue they divided among themselves and their servants.
Now this is getting all part to where they took the spoils of the enemies, and pretty much they gave it to the poor, the widows, gave it to the less fortunate of Israel. See what I'm saying? Because that was a victory. It's going to speak about that victory in verse 33. You can read that.
Verse 33. Furthermore, at such time as they kept the feast for the victory in their country, they burnt Calistines that had set fire upon the holy gates, who was fled into a little house, and so he received a reward meet for his wickedness.
Trying. You see what I'm saying? So we end up, you see what I'm saying, going against the Greeks and winning this battle. Which is why, once again, like that story, this story, Salakia, the other story is about the story of the 7 brothers and the mother. Like this is the reason why we celebrate the Feast of Dedication. See what I'm saying? We remember our victory.
Right.
We remember us standing for the Lord and the Lord being with us. See what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? And which is very, very important. Once again, the law is very important. Once you break the law, all hell breaks loose. It's a domino effect. You know what I mean? What happened to, what did the Lord say to King Solomon when he sinned against the Lord? Did his punishment come right away or did it come later? Does anybody know?
It came later, so
Say it again.
it come later.
You said it came later?
Yeah, like it wasn't.
How do you know?
Wasn't it like didn't happen to his grandchild?
Say it again.
Didn't happen to like his grandkid?
You talking about the third, third or fourth generations?
Uh-huh.
You see what I'm saying? Meaning like, right now, like the Lord did not take away his throne from King Solomon right away because of his father, King David. King David had, done so much for the Lord, even to the point where King David's hands were stained with blood. So like his hands were stained with blood. See what I'm saying? That's why King Solomon had to build what? Go ahead. The temple. All right. See what I'm saying? Now, of course, the punishment that came later. All right. But of course, right now in this day and time, for those that did not stand with Judas Maccabeus, who did not stand with Matthias or Eleazar, those people are going to be the ones who are going to be least in the kingdom.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But these ones that stood for the Lord, they had a reward. You see what I'm saying? They have the victory because they endured unto the end. Just like we still have to endure to the end until Christ comes. This work don't stop.
Right.
See what I'm saying? The reason why we're working is because our king is not here.
Right.
If our king was here, we don't have to go out to the street corners no more. I gotta find that precept because there is a precept about that as well. Like the law is going to be within us, and we won't have a desire to even try to go up against it, because the moment that you try to go up against it, here comes Christ sending out an angel or a priest or prophet to cut your head off.
Right.
Simple as that. All right. So the last thing is let's get 2 Maccabees 9:1. We are only going to read the first 5 verses.
Come.
Because as you know, Antiochus got his punishment from the Lord concerning the Jews trying to kill us, killing us and doing harsh acts towards the children of Israel. All right. I believe Antiochus, he set out a decree against us too, right?
Kind.
I want to say that was it too. You see what I'm saying? So does anybody know what a decree is, right? According to the Bible? What?
Like an order, a
right.
statute, a law.
Right. It's the same thing when Donald Trump, within his first 5 to 6 months being in office, he set out executive orders that only protected the police, but was a executive order. So I'm saying you have a legislative order, all right? Judicial? Judicial? What the fuck? I can't say it right. I cannot say it right. Goddamn.
Judicial.
Judicial. Goddamn, I can never say that word right. But you know what I mean. My bad. Yeah, I cannot say it right. It's so hard to say those words. Look, I know what I'm talking about. I just know how to say it. But But of course, let's go ahead though.
Kind. 2 Maccabees chapter 9 verse 1. About that time came Antiochus with dishonor out of the country of Persia.
Right.
For he had entered the city called Persepolis and went about to rob the temple.
Right.
and to hold the city.
Right.
Whereupon the multitude running to defend Thessalus with their weapons.
So like to defend themselves.
So like themselves.
Go ahead.
So like whereupon the multitude running to defend themselves with their weapons put them to flight.
Mm-hmm.
And so it happened while that Antiochus began being put to flight of the inhabitants returned with shame.
Right, okay. And we are going to see why Antiochus received the shame when he tried to invade us. You see what I'm saying? He tried to invade the Jews. Keep going.
Now when he came to Ecbatana, news was brought him what had happened unto Nicanor and Timotheus.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Then swelling with anger, he thought to avenge upon the Jews the disgrace done unto him by those that made him flee.
Right, and of course you have to know, the two people that were, what happened to Nicanor and Timotheus. What happened was, of course, we had prevailed against them.
Right.
That's what had happened. All right. So when he heard this is where he came into play, trying to do something about it. All right. He tried to invade us, tried to kill us. Keep going.
Come. Therefore commanded he his chariot man to drive without ceasing, and to dispatch the journey, the judgment of God not following him.
Right.
For he had spoken proudly in this sort, that he would come to Jerusalem and make it a common burying place of the Jews.
So he was speaking proudly as far as our demise, okay? And because he spoke these proud words, this is what had happened to him. Keep going.
Come. Verse 5. But the Most High Almighty, the God of Israel, smote him with an incurable and invisible plague. For as soon as he had spoken these words, a pain of the bowels that was remediless came upon him, and sore torments of the inner parts.
Right. And that word just means like very painful. You see what I'm saying? Very painful, like unbearable. All right, keep going.
Verse 6. And that most justly, for he had tormented others' torments.
So pretty much because he spoke so proudly to kill off, you see what I'm saying, the Jews, because he said making a burial place for the Jews, meaning he was going to turn their ass to be a cemetery. See what I'm saying? But of course it did not happen. And so the Lord heard these things. It's like three of them. But the ones like, when, the Most High's enemies, your enemies is the Most High's enemies. You see what I'm saying? Otherwise he'll make our enemies his footstool, which the Most High has done. All right? Also, too, when you are with the Most High, meaning when you are serving him, when you are keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, even your enemies will be at peace with you.
That's right.
All right? And that's the whole premise of it. Okay? So let me see. We actually done with the time. So with that being said, that's the premise. That's the whole purpose of the Feast of Dedication. That's more to it. Going into the last day, which is the 8th day. Of course, catches this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Right.
As we bring out some more material, all right? Pay your tithes, share the content, and also too, what's coming up so far? Man, Passover, I'm excited. We are months away. April 24th. It's going to be in Houston, man, all right? So you want to check that out. Otherwise, I'm going to clap it up, pass the class to Austin. Come on, so I got to let y'all two handle this real quick. Got that.
Once more, real quick, Israel, clap it up. I.S.U.P.K. Twin Cities, these are the security announcements. We got the I.S.U.P.K. started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shut themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21. Malachi, chapter 3, verses 8 through 10. Means tenth in the Hebrew. Ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Most High gives you. Give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Now you can always find this on ISUPK.com. Go right to the website, scroll down, you'll see the donation button. You can pay electronically. You can send, they'll also have the physical address that you can send in money orders or checks to if you want to do by mail. The priest fund, and you can also do this the same way. A free will offering for the priest, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like to donate. Upcoming holy convocations, so we're closing out the Feast of Dedications. Up next, we got the Feast of Purim coming up in February.
February 25th and 26th.
February 25th and 26th. Again, always checking I.S.U.P.K.com. You can contact, go to I.S.U.P.K.com, look at the classes or the contact page, and you can find your closest region, get in contact with them, and find out the procedures and how your region is going to handle that, handle the high holy days. Lastly, if any brother wants to become a trooper in the school, start wearing all black. It means your boots, your shirt, your pants, your headband, and or a scarf. And with that, it's like turn the face east.
Oh, sorry. And, how do you say face east? Sorry's turn and
Yeah, sorry just means turn, but otherwise, Wapanya Hakodah.
Alright, Wapanya Hakodah, in English, turn and face the east. For the Lord's Prayer in Hebrew. Abanaw, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakutka, Taba'ah, Ratazaka, Hayah, Aisha, Bahar Salaki.
That's right.
Baharatazah, Kawah, Hayah, Bashamayim, Nathan, Lanawa, Lakam, Kal, Yawam, Wasalak Nawa, Kabawak Yanaw, Kasalak Nawa, Kawabwak Yanaw, Wala'a, Tabaya Anawa, Banasaya 1, Abal, Hawashanaya, Hawashai Nawa, Salakia, Hawashai Nawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Amalakwa, Waha'ala, La'ai Walamyum, Aman.
the Lord's Prayer in the English. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Give us this day
our daily bread, and forgive us of our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
But deliver us from
For
evil.
thine is the kingdom,
And
the power,
and the glory,
forever. So be it.
Amen. Praise the bless Israel in the Hebrew. Yahweh. Ba'ashem Yahushua. Ba'alak now. Wayasha'ala. Wahabayat. Sapari. Barak. Rapa'ah. Hagan. Now, at this time, you can say the name of your loved ones once. Everyone will repeat the name once. If you're on Facebook Live, you're on YouTube Live, feel free to type the loved one's name in the type box, and we will speak that for you on your behalf.
Anybody can start in the room.
I.S.U.P.K, Minnesota.
I.S.U.P.K, Minnesota.
Israelite School UPK.
Israelite School UPK.
All of Israel. Benjamin. Jamie. Whitney. Annalie.
Sathar,
Cliff.
Yapa,
Yapa.
Tim.
Tim.
Kabah Tabak.
Kabah Tabak.
Kabah Dabar.
Kabah Dabar.
Paya Allah.
Paya Allah.
Along with all.
Along with all.
Yakatazak.
Yakatazak.
Ya'ala.
Ya'ala.
Kunayala.
Kunayala.
Bariah.
Bariah.
Nicole Clinton.
Nicole Clinton.
Joseph Daniel.
Joseph Daniel.
Saharazan.
Saharazan.
All of Israel.
All of Israel.
I.S.U.P.K Minneapolis.
I.S.U.P.K Minneapolis.
So if I don't see anybody in the chat, y'all can keep going. Otherwise, we can just close it out. Keep going.
We good, go ahead.
Ba'ashem Yahushua.
Ba'ashem Yahushua.
Du'ad Aman.
Du'ad Aman. What we just said was, Lord, in the name of Yahushua.
Lord, in the name of Yahushua.
Bless us in Israel.
Bless us in Israel.
In the school.
In the school.
Bless Hill shall protect.
Bless Hill shall protect.
Loved ones.
Loved ones.
In the name of Yahushua.
In the name of Yahushua.
Thank you always.
Thank you always.
So be it.
So be it.
I'm going to read this and then you do the reading. Blessed are you, Yahweh.
Blessed are you, Yahweh.
King of heaven and earth.
King of heaven and earth.
And all things living.
And all things living.
Yahweh.
Yahweh. Name of Yahushua.
Listen to us now.
Listen to us now.
Right now.
Right now.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses that speak against us.
Thy prophets.
Thy prophets.
Thy teachers.
Thy teachers.
The princes.
The princes.
The priests.
The priests.
The Israelite brothers.
Israelite brothers.
And the school.
And the school.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
Punishment and destruction.
Punishment and
To
destruction.
the heathen.
To the heathen.
And shake loose the treasures.
Shake loose the treasure
Of the rich of Israel.
of the rich of Israel.
That refuse to give to the
That
school.
refuse to give to the school.
Force their riches.
Force their riches.
To enter into that sanctuary.
Take them thy sanctuary.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
Punishment and destruction.
Punishment and destruction.
To the Edomites.
To the Edomites.
And their nations.
And their nations.
Oh, Salaki.
It's not
The drug dealers.
The drug dealers.
The court system.
The court systems.
The prison system.
The prison system.
Planned Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood.
All the governments of our enemies.
All the governments of our enemies.
Amalek synagogues and armies.
Amalek synagogues and armies.
Roman Catholic Church.
Roman Catholic Church.
The Pope.
The Pope.
Islam.
Christianity.
Egyptology.
Egyptology.
Militia. Ku Klux Klan.
Ku Klux Klan.
Aryan Nation.
Aryan Nation.
Skinheads.
Skinheads.
Pasakamatazim.
Pasakamatazim.
The gay movement.
The gay movement.
The lesbian movement.
Lesbian movement.
Spies.
Spies.
Workers of witchcraft.
Workers of witchcraft.
That's a space program.
That's a space program.
Army. Navy.
Air
Force.
Marines.
Wall Street. Open up the internet.
Open up the internet.
And the airways.
And the airways.
Cable access channel.
Cable access channel.
And the radio channel.
And the radio channel.
Convict the spirit of any of thy people
Convict the spirit of any of our people
that seek to stop us.
seek to stop
And
us.
bring swift destruction
Bring swift destruction
to all the heathens
to all the heathen
that stand in the way
that stand in the way.
or try to stop
Or
us
try to stop
from
us.
broadcasting your word
Broadcasting your
throughout
word
the planet Earth.
throughout the planet
Let
Earth.
loose all the plague.
Let loose all the plagues.
Cause them to go to and fro
Cause them to go to and fro
to the earth and consume
through
them.
the earth and consume them.
Let the plague shake the house of the thief
Let the plague shake the house of the thief
and the murderer.
and the murderer.
Let Yahweh shine.
Let Yahushua,
Michael and Gabriel
Michael and Gabriel
come down with the flying saucer.
come down with the flying saucer.
Punish all the heathen
Punish all the heathen
that come up against us
that come up against
as we
us
speak thy word.
as we speak thy
Cause
word.
it to be known by all
Cause it to be known by all.
that is the angels that have done it.
It's the angels that have done it.
Cause it to be spread throughout the media,
Cause it to spread throughout the media,
throughout the whole world.
throughout the whole world.
Cause them to shake at thy coming.
Cause them to shake it
In the
down.
name of Yahweh
In
Shai.
the name of Yahushua.
Thank you always.
Thank you always.
So be it.
So be it.
You want to say sorry?
Sar, men of Israel, Mike Shabbat, Magim, Barak, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakatah, Yazamatah. Courtesy salute to the
You
sisters.
want to start to the sisters? Sorry.
Slakia, Sar to the sisters. Courtesy salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, Magim Shabbat, Magim, Barak, Yahweh Salakia, Yahweh Shema Hashem Yahushua.
Yahweh Shema Hashem Yahushua.
Yazamatah.
Class dismissed.